Alright, and we are rolling. What is going on, everyone? I hope that you all are doing well out there, staying safe, and having a good one. Welcome. Welcome to Clarence Loves Comics. I am Clarence, and I love comics. And hopefully you do too. Uh, Happy 2024, everybody. Happy New Year. Hopefully you all are having a good New Year so far. It's now February, so a month just passed, and whatever you wasn't able to accomplish last year, hopefully you're able to accomplish it this year. And with that being said, let's go ahead and let's dive into the video. So today's video is going to be my first review on the new channel, and I couldn't think of a better book to get the ball rolling with, to get the party started with when it comes to reviews than this book right here. This is one of my favorite comic books. I just finished reading it about a couple weeks or so ago, and I'm finally getting a chance to do my review on it. And I'm just excited to be talking about this book. But this is DC The New Frontier. This is absolute DC The New Frontier. This is the 15th anniversary edition, to be exact, because when this book released, this book originally released in singles back in 2004, and this absolute came out in 2018, 2019, and so it was the 15th anniversary of this book because it was 15 years since the book had released. Now it's 2024, and so this is the 20th anniversary of this book releasing. And man, where the hell did time go? It was 2004, now it's 2024. 2 decades done passed that quickly. This book was created, it was written and illustrated by the one and only Darwyn Cooke. Darwyn Cooke is considered a legend in the comic book industry, and it's understandable why, because his work is legendary. He's no longer with us, unfortunately, which sucks because I know that there's a lot more we could probably be getting, if he was still with us. But, his work lives on. He left some stuff here, and one of the things he left here was DC A New Frontier, which many consider to be his magnum opus, and I would agree with that. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, thoughts and everything, or talking about the book, discussing the book. Just want to say that this is going to be a spoiler-free review, so, there's, even though this isn't one of those books that have any, huge, major plot twists or anything like that, there is some minor stuff in here that might be considered spoilers, so I won't touch on it. But for the most part, there isn't a whole lot to spoil when it comes to this, so I will be talking a little freely about this. But if there is any minor spoilers in here, which there are, I won't touch on. But, just kind of giving that heads up or what have you. But let's go ahead and let's dive into it. So the overarching plot of this story, the overall basis of it is that we're jumping from one era to another, or we're transitioning from one era to another. So the book starts out in the golden age, towards the tail end of the golden age, and it ends up, as the story goes along, we're transitioning into the silver age. And of course this book takes place in the DC universe, and so we're going from the golden age of DC to the silver age of DC. And so in the beginning, we're introduced to characters. Of course, we're introduced to the Trinity. That's, of course, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. And, of course, they all made their origins, or they all got started. They all were they were all created during the golden age of comic books. And so in the beginning of the story, we're introduced to those three characters and how they're the foundation of DC. And so as the story goes along, we're introduced to other characters transitioning. Once we make that transition, we're introduced to other characters such as Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, who's the Green Lantern of the Silver Age, Martian Manhunter, John Jones, and then the Flash, Barry Allen, who's the Silver Age version of the Flash. And so that's the overarching plot of this story, is the transition of the Golden Age into the Silver Age. And we just don't get those uh, characters per se. We do get other characters and other factions that are part of the DC universe. So, like for example, we get the JSA, the Justice Society of America, and so they play a role in the Golden Age, because a lot of those characters that's a part of that group, like Dr. Faith or what have you, Dr. Faith, Jay Garrett, the Flash or what have you, those characters all are introduced in the Golden Age. And characters like Aquaman or what have you, they come along as well. Aquaman's in this book as well. So you have the JSA, you have Aquaman, you have Green Arrow, Oliver Queen. You have Ted Grant, who's also known as Wildcat, who's also part of the JSA or what have you. And so you get a lot of those characters intertwined. And so what's also cool about this book, by the way, something else I want to mention, what's awesome about this book is that it's one of those books that blends reality. And what I mean by blend reality is that it's not only taking place, even though it takes place in the DC universe, it also involved, or it's also revolved around the real world. The real world. That was kind of a tongue twister there. But the real world. And so a lot of things that were happening during those times actually takes place in here. So like for example, like World War II was going on. As we go along, we also get other events like the Korean War, nuclear bombs, which kind of takes place in World War II or what have you. You have that, the Civil Rights Movement, which was going on in the 1960s. Speaking of the Civil Rights Movement or what have you, there is another character that's in here, is John Henry Irons, or Steel, and he plays a big role, especially in the story, especially because something happens within his story arc that intertwines with the rest of the story, is what I'm trying to say. And so you have that, and then you also have real world figures in this as well. So one of the real world figures that plays a role into this is JFK, John F. Kennedy. And the reason why that's important to note is because the New Frontier is based off of his speech that he gave, his victory speech when he won the presidential election in 1960, and he became the president of the United States of America. And so that's important to note because the New Frontier is based off of his speech that he gave, which was about the changing of the guard and the times are the changing of the times, and so how the world is changing and what have you. And so in this book, you see the world changing in real time, not only in the DC universe, but in the real world. And so I thought that was really cool and really fascinating. And another historical figure that you'll see in this book, because Ted Grant is a boxer, what have you. He's defending his World Heavyweight Championship against an up and coming fighter known as Cassius Marcellus Clay. That's interesting to note because, of course, Cassius Marcellus Clay would go on to change his name after, converting to Islam, and he would become known as Muhammad Ali. And so that was pretty cool to see Ted Grant fighting the great Muhammad Ali, and seeing that play out. I really enjoyed this book. I really enjoyed this story. I read this book a few years ago, back around 2019, 2020. I read this book around 2020, 2021, I'd say. That's when I read it. Around 2020, 2021, I read this and fell in love with it. Reading it again 3-4 years later, I love it even more, man. The story is amazing. It's phenomenal. It's well written. It's beautifully drawn. The colors pop out. The story is just wonderfully told. I really like how Darwyn Cooke was able to implement real world events and translate it into the DC universe, like translate it into this book, which it can be difficult to do. Taking real world events and putting it in the comics or what have you can sometimes be a daunting task, but Darwyn Cooke just does it so gracefully and so elegantly that it just makes the story pop even more. And I love stories that do that. That even though it's a fictional world, they take elements from the real world and acknowledge that's really cool and awesome. And overall, man, really enjoyed this book. Definitely worth reading. If you're somebody that's a fan of DC Comics, you'll love this book. If you're somebody that's just getting into comic books and you're interested in the world of DC, you'll love this book. This book is for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're a hardcore comic book fan, a diehard, or a beginner. If you're somebody that's just reading DC for the first time, or you're somebody that's been reading DC for years, everybody should go ahead and check this book out. It's definitely worth a read. One thing I want to mention real quick is that this book is available in multiple formats. I think there's trade paperbacks of this story. Over the years, there's been trade paperbacks of this. Of course, you have this Absolute right here, although this Absolute is, as of now, out of print. So if you're trying to get the Absolute format, it may be hard to come by just because this is an out of print book. Because this came out, like I said, in like 2019. And so, this is sold out. If you can find it for a decent price on the aftermarket somewhere, then maybe jump on it, but don't pay over cover price if you don't have to. And one more format that's available in is deluxe edition. There's a deluxe edition that just released, I want to say last year. I think sometime last year in 2023, a deluxe edition did come out. And so if you can get the deluxe edition of this book, definitely pick it up, because you'll still be getting the same story. It's just a different format. So I would say, if you really want to check this book out, get either a trade paperback or get the deluxe edition. But if you can find this for a decent price somewhere, then of course, by all means, go for it. But with that being said, let's go ahead and I'm going to flip the camera over, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at the build of the book and take a look at this amazing and wonderful artwork. Alright, so here's a closer look at DC The New Frontier by Darwyn Cooke, the Absolute 15th Anniversary Edition. This is the slipcase, a slipcover, and so this is the front. Here's what the spine looks like right there. Hold on, there we go. This is the spine, and excuse me, sorry. And then here is the back. This is what the back looks like. The book itself looks like. Very cool, very nice. You get this awesome spread, so you have all the different characters right there. Of course, you have Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Green Arrow, The Flash, so forth and so on. Here's a bookend page. And then here you go, right here you have the, hold on, let me just adjust my camera real quick. Let's see. So you have all of the, let me just try to adjust that right there. Here you go. So you have, let's see. Here we go. So you have right here all of the different people that worked on this book. So of course you have Darwyn Cooke as the main writer, and illustrator, but you have different artists who worked on this as well. So you have J Bone, David Bullock, and Michael Cho. You have colorist David Stewart, and then you have letters by Gerald K. Fitcher. So those are all the people that worked on this book besides Darwyn Cooke. And so Here is the table of contents right here. And then you get an introduction right here, which is by Darwyn Cooke. No, excuse me. Paul Levitt. My apologies. Paul Levitt. Paul Levitt did the introduction right here. This is by Paul Levitt. My apologies. And you get the prologue, give you a little introduction. And so this is chapter 1. And this chapter right here is about the losers, who's a military group. And this is during World War II. And so you have them fighting a giant T-Rex. I think that's a T-Rex. If I'm wrong on that, my bad. My apologies. And so as you can see, you get big, nice panels. You get awesome panels. Here we go. I'm just flipping through the book to show you some of the artwork. And I'm also trying to be careful to not show too. So this right here is when we're introduced to the Martian Manhunter, and this is him, and of course in his true form, in his purest form. If you know anything about the Martian Manhunter, he's a shapeshifter, so he can, show up however he likes, transform into any type of person or individual he wants to. And this is something I wanted to show right here too, because this stood out to me. This is a panel that stood out because these women right here were all captive. They were in captivity, and Wonder Woman comes along and she essentially frees them and shows them that they can be strong and independent and basically fend for themselves. And then you have her sitting right there celebrating with the ladies. They all having a drink in celebration, and she's standing up on top of the table. And then Superman walks in the room, and all of a sudden they got guns drawn at him. And he's basically like, telling Wonder Woman to, tell the woman to, like, basically, this ain't gonna hurt me, this ain't gonna do nothing. I just thought that was all, the banter, what have you, was kind of cool. And I love how Darwyn Cooke draws the characters. I really do. I love how he draws his, I love how these characters are drawn. Although I think this might be Michael Cho's artwork, because Michael Cho did do some art in here as well. But I love how those characters are drawn. I want to say that might have been Michael Cho's artwork. And then right here, you have the Martian Manhunter watching television or what have you, and he's essentially transforming into the characters that he sees on TV. So you have him shapeshifting the Bugs Bunny. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then you have this story right here where essentially a little boy is about to be sacrificed by this cult, and at the end of the day he ends up getting saved. And one of the people that ends up saving him is Batman. So that was pretty cool. And this one I was talking about too right here. This is the fight, of course, that I was talking about earlier between Ted Grant and Cassius Clay, or Muhammad Ali. He was still going by Cassius Clay at the time, so they call him Cassius Clay or what have you. But of course, he would be better known as Muhammad Ali. And so this is Ted Grant getting to the fight, fighting Muhammad Ali. And then you have people on the sidelines or what have you watching, or in the audience watching. And so I'm just going to flip through this a little bit more. Here's Barry Allen. Of course, the Flash. Really cool. The Flash fighting Captain Cold. So. You know? Yeah. And so throughout this book, you're going to see really, really good artwork. There's Batman. There's Batman. Throughout this whole book, you're just going to get amazing artwork. And in the absolute format, it just shines. This is why absolutes were created. For stuff like this. And then here's right here the story with John Henry Irons. This right here is a real gut punching story. Yeah, reading this right here, man, it's a heartbreaking story. The artwork is beautiful, of course, throughout the whole thing, but some of these stories in here, what have you, mini stories, they can get you. And this right here definitely got me a bit, especially because this wasn't my first time reading this. Like I mentioned, I read this a few years ago, and rereading it again is just hard. You know, John shows who he is. He's asking the girl for help, and yeah, she essentially, you know, rats him out because he's hiding from the KKK. I don't know if you saw a little earlier. I might have flipped a little too quickly here. But right here, he's hiding from the KKK, and he ends up bumping into this little girl who's white, and he's asking her for help. He reveals it. Oh, I'm sorry. He reveals himself to her because he's asking her for help in hopes that she would help him. And yeah, y'all can see that dialogue right there. Y'all can see that. So yeah. Yeah, talk about gut puncher, man. But let's go ahead and let me move on. Move on a bit. We go more Wonder Woman and Superman to lighten up the mood. And then here's Adam Strange. Adam Strange also is another character that makes an appearance in here. I forgot to mention that. But yeah, Adam Strange is another character. This is when Hal Jordan finds the Lantern ring, and he becomes the Green Lantern. And then there's Wonder Woman and the Amazons. Towards the end of the book, and this is when we get, you know, JFK's speech or what have you. And then it ends, and this is the cover gallery. So we can look at some of these covers right here. Some of these were standard editions, some of these were variants. Martian Manhunter is an old man. So beautiful. I love this cover right here. I really like that cover right there. You have all the characters. Beautiful cover. and you get some extras and stuff in the back, some annotations on, you know, breaking down some of the panels and what they represent or what have you. And then you get sketch art. This is, of course, of John Henry Irons, Steel, Wonder Woman. There's different sketches, and where he gets where some of the inspiration came from. And so, and then this is a this right here was this is chapter X, so like a bonus chapter. And then you get Batman, Superman going at. This is like a follow up or what have you, and they all essentially know each other's identities now. And then you have this panel with Superman. Yeah. Yep. There you go. Oh, and by the way, too, absolutes, most absolutes come with a ribbon, and this is no exception. Comes with a nice blue ribbon. So whenever you take a break or you want to stop, and you just go ahead and put it in there, and it'll let you know, or that'll serve as like a bookmark. Alright, so that is the end of the review. Hopefully you all enjoyed today's today's review. If you did enjoy the review, please do me a huge favor. Hit that thumbs up button. It helps me out a lot. It lets me know that you enjoyed the video and that you're enjoying the content overall. And speaking of the content, if you like what you see on the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification so that way you'll always be notified when I upload a video. I will be uploading a little bit more. I will be uploading more videos. I got more stuff in the works. So hopefully you all enjoyed this one. And also to follow me on social media as well. To follow me on social media, I'm on Twitter or X. I'm on Threads and I'm on Instagram. So go ahead and follow me on those as well. I'll leave those in the description box. I also might leave a pinned comment with all my social media and all that good stuff. And it's also too in my bio. If you click on my channel links, you'll see links to my social media. So if you're on social media outside of YouTube, of course, go ahead and follow me there. And yeah, with that being said, thank y'all so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. Until next time, take care, everybody. Be safe. Have a good one.